Your phone buzzes. You are not expecting anything important. You check it anyway. You always check it anyway. And you tell yourself it is because the message might matter. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain is not checking for information. It is chasing a feeling it cannot name, one that was built into you long before phones ever existed. Think about the last time you picked up your phone with no reason at all. No notification, no sound, just an urge. Your thumb moved before your mind decided anything. That is not a habit. That is a circuit, and it is one of the oldest circuits you have. To understand it, you have to go back almost 100 years, to a psychologist named B.F. Skinner. In the 1930s, Skinner built a simple box. Inside it, a pigeon could press a lever. Sometimes the lever released a food pellet. Sometimes it did not. Skinner expected the pigeons to lose interest when the reward became unpredictable. The opposite happened. The pigeons pressed the lever more, faster, longer, almost obsessively. Skinner called this a variable ratio reward schedule. Reward that arrives sometimes, unpredictably, is far more compelling than reward that arrives every time. Your phone runs on the exact same schedule. Sometimes you check it and there is nothing. Sometimes there is a message, a like, a comment, a piece of news that makes your chest tighten. You never know which one it will be. That uncertainty is not a flaw in the design. It is the entire design. But why would uncertainty feel good at all? Shouldn't a guaranteed reward feel better than a maybe? Here is where the story gets stranger. In the 1990s, a neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz was studying dopamine in the brains of monkeys. The old assumption was that dopamine fired when an animal received a reward, like a small squirt of juice. Schultz found something different. Dopamine did not just fire at the reward, it fired at the anticipation of the reward. And when the reward became unpredictable, when the monkey could not be sure if the juice was coming, dopamine activity spiked even higher during the waiting period. The brain, it turned out, was not rewarding pleasure. It was rewarding prediction, or more precisely, it was rewarding the gap between prediction and outcome. This is the moment you need to sit with. Your brain is not built to reward you for getting what you want. It is built to reward you for not being sure whether you will get it. That is what a locked phone screen is. A gap, a maybe, a tiny unresolved question sitting in your pocket. Now push this back further. 10,000 years further. Your ancestors did not have phones, but they had the same brain chemistry, wired for a very different kind of uncertainty. Imagine an early forager walking through tall grass. Somewhere nearby, there might be fruit. There might be a threat. There might be nothing at all. The forager who felt nothing in the face of that uncertainty, who did not feel the itch to check, to look, to scan the horizon one more time, was less likely to find the fruit before it rotted, and less likely to notice the predator before it noticed them. Uncertainty was not a nuisance to the ancient brain. It was a signal that something worth knowing might be nearby, and the itch to resolve that uncertainty, to check one more time, to look again, was not weakness. It was survival. You inherited that itch. You just no longer pointed at grasslands. You pointed at a glass rectangle that lights up in your hand. Here is where a third piece of research adds something crucial. A neuroscientist named Kent Berridge, working for decades on the brain's reward systems, drew a distinction that changes everything about how we understand craving. He separated wanting from liking. Wanting is the dopamine-driven pull toward something. Liking is the actual pleasure once you have it. Berridge's research showed these are handled by different brain systems, and they do not always move together. You can want something intensely and barely enjoy it once you have it. In fact, the wanting system can grow stronger over time even as the liking system stays flat, or even shrinks. This is exactly what happens with your phone. The pull to check it, the wanting, often outpaces the pleasure of what you find there, the liking. You have felt this. You check your phone, find nothing worth the interruption, and check it again 10 minutes later anyway. That is not irrational. That is precisely what a wanting system detached from liking is supposed to do. It does not care whether checking makes you happy. It only cares whether checking is possible. So what does this mean for the moment you are in right now, reading this, maybe with your phone resting somewhere close by? It means the pull you feel is not a personal failure. It is not a sign that you lack discipline or willpower. You are running software that is millions of years old on hardware that was never designed for infinite, unpredictable, instantly available social information. Your ancestors checked the horizon a few times a day. You check a screen that refreshes a few hundred times. The gap between prediction and outcome that once helped a forager find food now helps an app hold your attention for another 6 minutes. The uncertainty that once kept your ancestors alive now keeps your eyes on a feed that was, quite literally, engineered using the same variable reward principles Skinner discovered in that pigeon box nearly a century ago. This is not a coincidence. It is a lineage. Skinner's box, Schultz's monkeys, Barrage's wanting system, and your phone are the same story told across 3 different centuries of research and one continuous line of biology. Here is the part most people miss, though. Knowing this does not make the urge disappear. Understanding a mechanism does not override it. You can know exactly why you are reaching for your phone and still reach for it. That is not a contradiction. It is proof of how deep the wiring runs. Ancient systems do not politely step aside just because you have identified them. But there is something useful in knowing this anyway. When you feel that itch, that unexplainable pull toward the screen with no notification waiting, you can recognize it for what it actually is. Not boredom, not curiosity, not a real need for information. It is the same circuit that once sent a forager back to check the same patch of grass one more time, just in case. A circuit built for a world of scarce, unpredictable resources, now firing constantly in a world of infinite, engineered ones. You are not weak for feeling it. You are simply very, very old, wearing a very new body, holding a very new object that happens to speak the oldest language your brain knows. Tonight, your phone will buzz, or maybe it will not buzz at all, and you will pick it up anyway. You will tell yourself it is because the message might matter. But the real answer is far stranger. You are not checking for information. You are chasing a gap, a maybe, a flicker of ancient uncertainty that your body still mistakes for something worth finding.